The Curse of the Eternal Shadows. A thick, almost unnatural fog covered the forest that night, obscuring the gnarled trees and the narrow, muddy path that led to Blackthorn Manor. The manor had stood abandoned for nearly 2 centuries, its towering silhouette visible even through the mist. Legend had it that the Blackthorn family disappeared without a trace one stormy night, leaving behind nothing but whispers of a dark curse. Despite the warnings etched into local folklore, a group of young paranormal investigators decided to explore the manor. At the forefront was Michael, a confident and ambitious leader determined to make his name in the supernatural community. Accompanying him were Rachel, the tech-savvy skeptic, Thomas, the historian with a knack for uncovering hidden truths, and Emily, whose sensitivity to the unseen often sent chills down her spine. They arrived at the edge of the forest just as the sun dipped below the horizon. The trees loomed overhead like skeletal fingers, their branches clawing at the dim sky. Michael tightened his grip on the flashlight and turned to the group. "This is it," he said, his voice steady but tinged with excitement. "Let's make history." The others exchanged uncertain glances, but followed him into the forest. The path to the manor was treacherous, lined with gnarled roots and hidden pitfalls. The only sound was the crunch of their boots on the damp earth and the occasional hoot of an owl. As they approached the manor, a chilling wind seemed to rise from nowhere, carrying with it the faintest whispers. "Did you hear that?" Emily asked, stopping in her tracks. Her wide eyes darted to the others, but they shook their heads. "Just the wind," Rachel replied, though her voice lacked its usual confidence. The manor loomed ahead, its broken windows and ivy-covered walls exuding an aura of decay and menace. The heavy oak doors creaked ominously as Michael pushed them open, revealing a grand foyer cloaked in darkness. Dust motes danced in the beam of his flashlight, and the air was thick with the scent of mildew. "Let's split up and cover more ground," Michael suggested, handing out walkie-talkies. "We'll regroup in an hour." Reluctantly, the group agreed. Michael and Rachel headed upstairs while Thomas and Emily ventured deeper into the ground floor. The manor's halls seemed endless, each one more decrepit than the last. Faded portraits lined the walls, their subjects' eyes seeming to follow the intruders as they passed. Upstairs, Michael and Rachel entered what appeared to be a study. Shelves of crumbling books lined the walls, and a massive desk sat in the center, its surface littered with yellowed papers. Rachel began setting up a camera while Michael examined the papers. "These look like journals," he said, flipping through one of the tattered volumes. "Listen to this. The shadows grow stronger each night. They whisper secrets I dare not repeat, their voices like daggers in my mind." Rachel shuddered. "Sounds like someone lost their grip on reality." Meanwhile, Thomas and Emily found themselves in the dining hall. A long, dust-covered table stretched before them, flanked by high-backed chairs. A massive chandelier hung overhead, its crystals glinting faintly in the dim light. "This place feels wrong," Emily said, clutching her arms. "It's just an old house," Thomas reassured her, though he couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. As they turned to leave, a deafening crash echoed through the manor. All 4 investigators froze, their walkie-talkies crackling to life. "Michael, Rachel, are you okay?" Thomas's voice was taut with fear. "We're fine," Michael replied, "but something moved up here. Stay where you are. We're coming to you." The group reunited in the foyer, their nerves frayed. The crash had come from the basement, a place none of them had ventured yet. Despite their growing unease, Michael insisted they investigate. The staircase to the basement was narrow and steep, its steps groaning under their weight. The air grew colder with each step, and the faint whispers Emily had heard earlier returned, louder and more insistent. At the bottom they found themselves in a cavernous room lit only by their flashlights. The walls were lined with shelves holding strange artifacts, ancient books, jars filled with unidentifiable substances, and peculiar trinkets. In the center of the room stood a large, circular mirror, its surface dark and opaque. "This must be it," Thomas said, his voice barely above a whisper. "The source of the curse." Michael approached the mirror, his flashlight beam reflecting off its surface. "It's just a mirror," he said, though his voice betrayed his uncertainty. Suddenly, the whispers grew deafening and the mirror's surface rippled like water. A hand, black as night and dripping with shadow, reached out, grabbing Michael's wrist. He screamed as the hand pulled him toward the mirror. The others rushed to help, but the room seemed to come alive. Shelves toppled, their contents shattering on the floor, and a howling wind tore through the basement. Emily fell to her knees, clutching her head as the whispers became unbearable. Rachel and Thomas managed to pull Michael free, but the mirror's surface began to crack, releasing an inky darkness that filled the room. Faces appeared in the darkness, their eyes hollow and their mouths twisted in silent screams. "Run!" Michael shouted, dragging Emily to her feet. The group fled up the stairs, the darkness pursuing them. It clawed at their heels, pulling at their clothes and dragging them back. One by one they fell, Thomas consumed by the shadows, Rachel pulled into the mirror's depths. By the time Michael and Emily reached the front door, only the two of them remained. They burst into the night, collapsing on the muddy ground. The darkness stopped at the threshold, retreating back into the manor. The whispers faded, leaving only the sound of their ragged breathing and the rain pattering on the leaves. Michael and Emily never spoke of what happened that night. The footage they recovered was incomplete, filled with static and unearthly screams. Blackthorn Manor was boarded up once more, and the curse remained undisturbed, waiting for the next unfortunate souls to awaken it.